Living a normal, happy and healthy life is the desire of every person, but life being what it is cannot be seamless without challenges that at times manifest as sicknesses. For Jalal Balala, his bone marrow cancer diagnosis and treatment 7 years ago changed his perception on life. He believes a cancer diagnosis should not dictate one's happiness in life.
Albert Einstein once said that life is like riding a bicycle, and to keep your balance, you must keep moving no matter what, because if you stop, then you fail. Jalal Balala literally hung on to these words as his life depended on them after a bone marrow cancer diagnosis 7 years ago. Before the diagnosis, Balala was an active, happy person going about his normal duties until one evening.
Was diagnosed with cancer 7 years ago, multiple myeloma, in the trauma center in Dubai. I took myself there because what happened to me was I had returned from Nairobi on business. I arrived home, I took a shower, I got out of the shower, I switched on the AC because it was a bit hot, and the phone rang. I picked up the phone and then I sneezed. After I sneezed, 3 of my discs collapsed immediately and my back congealed. I didn't know what happened. I dropped on the ground and I was writhing in pain for a while. And it was like that until the morning when they took me to the hospital.
The last thing on his mind after that incident in his house that evening was cancer, bone marrow cancer. When he got to the hospital and several tests were done, it was confirmed that indeed he had the disease.
I knew something was wrong. I knew something was terribly wrong. But of course, nobody's ever prepared. Nobody's ever prepared. So when I got the news, I just calmed down. And deep inside, I didn't feel like I was going to die. I started questioning myself, am I going to die? So I think that's the first thing you should do, is to be calm when you're informed that you have cancer and to try to resolve it within yourself.
The painful journey of treatment began, and it was not an easy path, especially after 17 intense cycles of chemotherapy and the very expensive bone marrow transplant treatment, which until now is not available in Kenya. Balala is a fighter and was determined to fight for his life despite all the challenges he faced, especially the high cost of the transplant.
But bone marrow transplant and research on the treatment has really changed it. Many patients are living with it and living a very normal life after they are found with bone marrow, multiple myeloma. It's unfortunate we don't have bone marrow transplant currently in the country, but we have it in India and we have it in South Africa and then North Africa. It's not a cheap treatment. It comes to about 6 million, thereabout in India. But of course, bone marrow transplant is very good.
Bone marrow cancer is a rare form of cancer that mostly affects older people. Its symptoms manifest in different ways, including weakness and fatigue due to shortage of red blood cells, which is also anemia, bleeding and bruising due to low blood platelets, a condition that is also known as thrombocytopenia, and infections due to shortage of normal white blood cells, leukopenia, among others. And Dr. Ocheng says it is important to have thorough checkups, including taking x-rays, CT scans and biopsy.
Be checked, and cancer need to be checked and ruled out. As you know, prevention is better than cure. Early cancer is curable, late cancer is hard to cure. So the message is that get checked well, and the doctors should be competent enough to work together with other doctors to ensure that your problem will come to the root cause. We come to know exactly what it is.
It is still not very elaborate in the medical field what really causes bone marrow cancer, but contributing factors may include exposure to toxic chemicals in solvents, fuels, engine exhaust, certain cleaning products or agricultural products, certain viruses including HIV and hepatitis, suppressed immune system or plasma disorder, genetic disorders or family history of bone marrow cancer, previous chemotherapy or radiation therapies, smoking and obesity.
And during that time, I realized Kenya has some of the best teas and coffees in the world. And every home, Sally, every home must have tea and coffee. And I don't want 7.5 billion homes. I want to sell Kenyan tea and coffee because it's the best coffee. I can provide that to the people, and I will get a market. because there will always be a market for it. So I decided that we should go into the tea and coffee business, and we formed a company. We were 4 brothers. We formed a company called Tanjal. And we started the tea and coffee business.
He had the will to live, and so he did. Jalal Balala went through a successful treatment and has bounced back with more vigor to continue with his duties as the Executive Director of Al Aziza General Trading LLC, which imports, blends and packages Kenyan tea and coffee before selling them to the United Arab Emirates market and the rest to the international market. Limo, Switch TV.